Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Hello, podsters. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. This week, as Cruella is out on Disney Plus and cinemas, we'll be focusing on the star of that film, and that is Emma Stone. So we'll be picking our favourite films from her work. And as always, I am joined by the Mr. Encyclopedia Man, that is Boaz Dix. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, considering
Good,
the weather.
good.
It's fine though.
Yeah, the weather is pretty shite here in the UK.
Well, we're in England, man. What do you expect?
So what is your pick for this one?
Mine is The Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, Emma Stone. Yeah, how I was introduced to Emma Stone.
Any excuse for a Spider-Man movie.
Any excuse, yeah. I mean, we got to hit all bases, right? I've done Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I've done animated Spider-Man. I've done
one, to be fair.
Whatever. We've done it. I'm just saying, you know.
Far From Home.
And we've done basically every Spider. Yeah, Tom Holland. So you know, let's go for the unsung Spider-Man who like nobody talks about, Andrew Garfield. So. Get it all done.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So what happens in this one?
So anyway, cut a long story short, he gets bit by a spider. You all know the drill. His uncle dies. It's his fault. He accidentally also creates the villain of this film by finding his father's research, which enables his father's lab partner to make, a serum that would heal people, like it cross-species with animals and shit.
Yeah.
And so he cross-species with a lizard, becomes the lizard, and yeah, he fights the lizard, beats the lizard, That's basically the film.
Right, directing then. There's a few sequences I did like in this film. As you said, I think it certainly is the lesser version of Spider-Man compared to Raimi and Tom Holland.
Yeah.
But not by a long way, I don't think.
No, I think, like, it's, at the time, and even now on a rewatch, the criticism, like, it got so much hate, this film, when it came out. Andrew Garfield was, like, run into the ground. Everybody's like, not my Spider-Man, and it was just, like, such a big thing. I might say a controversial opinion. I actually prefer this film to Homecoming. Yeah, that's
really?
like, oh man, no, he's mad.
What the fuck?
He's
Get this
insane.
guy off this podcast.
Kill him! What the hell? Crucify him. But yeah, no, I prefer it. I do. What? What?
Yes, I'm shaking my head. Anyway, carry on.
Yes, he's nodding. He's nodding with approval.
Nope.
No. Yes. Anyway, sorry to disappoint you, Dad, but yeah, I prefer it. Yeah. So I don't think it's that bad. Yeah.
All right. I think we might have some very differing scores.
Okay,
week.
we'll agree to disagree.
So directing then. I mean, there are some sequences I do like. I mean, the first sequence where Peter is discovering his powers on the subway is quite cool. Where, like, Peter accidentally gets his hand stuck on a woman's top and then accidentally rips it off is quite funny.
Yeah, and then accidentally beats up those people that are like, oi, dude.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
Yeah.
He instinctively does it, accidentally. Yeah. And, like, the little flashes of, like, neon light when he takes, with a sharp, high-pitched sound effect as he takes some guys out, which is quite cool.
Or where he grabbed the fly, where they're saying, where the hell were you? And stuff.
Yeah.
Was he going to eat that fly? It makes me think, was it like, his spider instincts are a lot stronger than...
But yeah, he's great in that moment, actually, because he's just, like, right in front of Aunt May's face. He just does this, like, hand wave thing and just says... Yeah, I don't know how I did that. I'm sorry. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
Pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But on the subway, I don't feel like you need to have a spider sense to feel that you've got a drop of water land on your forehead when the guy puts the beer on. But hey.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, I remember that. It is, I think visually, yeah, maybe it's not like the best representation of that ability. I mean, I do love the, in the first Spider-Man film, where he first uses his spider sense and it literally goes like Matrix fucking slow motion. He's got just this sense of everything going around. That would have been cool to do something like that. But, you know, it's all right.
I mean, I like the basketball sequence. That was quite great from Peter there and Andrew Garfield. But there's a few moments where the other kids must be like, yep, that's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Peter's Spider-Man.
He doesn't really hide it very well.
No. He jumps like ridiculously high to dunk the ball in the basketball net and then breaks the shatters the glass in the backboard. Yeah. And then there's a moment where like Peter catches an American football and then throws it back onto the post and bends the post.
I know.
I mean, surely that's Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, they should just call the cops. Like it's a run and done case, you know.
So not particularly subtle.
He's not the most subtle. So about like Andrew Garfield's portrayal, I actually do like his portrayal of Spider-Man. This is going to be pretty weird. So, you know, I do love Tobey Maguire. You know, I'm not putting anything against him. Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man, you know, as a kid and stuff.
Right. Okay.
And he's amazingly sympathetic and what have you. But he never quipped that much, and he never was like, you know, so happy-go-lucky.
He's just really dorky, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was very dorky. I think like Tobey Maguire was an amazing Peter Parker, and Andrew Garfield is like a really good Spider-Man. Like he's quipping all the time, he's having fun with it, just like Spider-Man should. I think the major problem is he acts like that when he's Peter Parker. So it's like, I don't think he's meant to do that. Yeah. Peter Parker is meant to be a nerd who is like very confident in the suit. And it's like, I do kind of get you like the suspension of disbelief. He acts like Spider-Man as Peter Parker and he's displaying powers in like, it should just be very, you know, obvious. Do you know what I mean? You know, you act like him and you can do all the things he does. You know, you've got to be Spider-Man, you know? Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable how nobody just sort of works it out.
Have you got any other directing moments you liked? Any shots?
Oh, yeah, fuck me. The cameo. The cameo with... This is probably like my favourite cameo of like Stan Lee, I think, ever. And I think rewatching it, I'm like, holy shit, that is a really good cameo. Where basically he starts fighting the lizard in the library and the school librarian is Stan Lee with his headphones on listening to classical music as they are just kicking the shit out of each other in the corner. He has no idea what's going on. And he almost gets hit by like a table coming at him. Spider-Man. So that was great. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's right up there for Stan Lee cameos. I think it's certainly in the top 3, I reckon.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favourite cameos.
Yeah, I love the use of like POV shots in this film where Peter's in the suit, you know, for the first time and he lands on the side of the building and you see the reflection, you know, that you see the suit for the first time. I really like that. But I kind of wanted more of that stuff.
Yeah, same.
It was really creative and I just wanted more of that type of shots, really.
Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant idea for like his first outing in the suit to have it as a POV, and I thought that was a really good reveal.
I guess I wanted like more of a lead up to that moment because it did feel very short.
Also, you know, a thing that's got to be in any Spider-Man film, like the swinging. I love how this this version of Peter Parker swings. I think it's just really awesome.
I love the suit design, actually. I quite like the suit design because it does feel very homemade and it feels believable in this.
Yeah.
Whereas in the second film, it looks like it's just straight out of the comic book and like the eyes are way too big for me.
Yeah. I think I do kind of agree with you that it has a more homemade feel, and you even like see him go through like a shopping list of different spandex, and it does look like somebody just cut out some spandex and put them together. Here's what I will say. The Sam Raimi films, brilliant, masterpiece. And I love that, you know, version of Spider-Man, his suit. I think that's my favourite, you know, kind of suit. But with the Sam Raimi ones, there's no way he made that. You know, there's just no way. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem believable.
No. You're telling me an 18-year-old with no experience makes something that's just like you need a team to make this. You need like serious money to make, you know, those suits. So,
I like the fact that they keep the sense of vulnerability of Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi films. Like he's not invincible because he did feel a bit invincible in the second movie. Yeah, and you know, not from like getting hurt from the lizard because you would expect that, but he gets hurt from the cops. You know, he gets shot in the leg by and he gets shot by these electrical thingies from the helicopters. You know, and he does really struggle in the beginning to swing away on the buildings to get away from the cops, you know. And those bits I quite liked. Yeah, and he's like rolling on the side of the bus at one point, you know.
Yeah.
He's not in full control. I quite liked the progression of the character there.
Yeah, definitely.
He doesn't feel invincible.
Yeah.
Like you had that sense in the Raimi films.
Yeah. And I like his tussles with the lizard. I think they are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do think they're probably a bit too short, and instead of like having like 5 incredibly short fights through the film, I would prefer they had 2 really large ones. You know, they do feel very stop and start. They're like, oh my god, this is cool, and then they kind of peter out. Yeah, so I do kind of wish there was more of that. Like they just had these
I guess with the lizard, he's not the greatest character to have creative action against with Spider-Man. He's just like an abomination type character. You know, it's just
it's a big, strong
dude that can regenerate.
Yeah, you can't do as crazy shit as you can do with like Mysterio or Dr. Octopus. Yeah, you can do some pretty crazy stuff with them.
But I mean, let's talk about the lizard design a bit. To be honest, I don't like it. It's really bad.
I'm gonna 100% agree with you. It doesn't look like a lizard.
Like
it looks like a green baby, like a giant toothy green baby.
Yeah,
you know,
and like the face is so flat.
It is
like,
so
it doesn't
flat.
look like a lizard.
No,
it's just weird.
No, it doesn't
CG
look like a lizard.
Is quite. It just needed more time as well.
Yeah. I think I kind of know where they were sort of going with that sort of design. Like, so for the very first appearance of the lizard, he doesn't have his trademark snout. You know, he is more like... But it's like, from like the second appearance onwards, he always had a snout, you know? And that makes sense, you know? He's a lizard, you know? He has a snout. And yeah, so I'm not 100% with the design. I think, like you, it doesn't look like a lizard.
And also, in every opportunity when he's got the lab coat on, he rips it off.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the iconic
Keep it on.
look.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks way cooler if you have it on. And you can hide some of this bad CG, maybe.
Exactly.
I don't know,
Otherwise, you're just a stereotypical, you know, mutant. Could be any lizard man there. You know, he could be fighting any lizard.
And also, all of a sudden, there seems to be a lizard infestation in New York.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
There's fucking geckos everywhere. There's more geckos than rats. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I thought it was also funny where he kind of discovers that Kurt Connors is the lizard. He goes to ask him about, like, how can you take down a lizard? He's like, why the hell are you so interested? He's very, like, apprehensive. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And so they have this tense, like, little talk. And then he sees, like, one of the rats that they experimented on is turned into a lizard rat and is, like, eating the other rats.
Yeah.
Yeah, mice. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
So have you got a favourite shot, then?
I think it would probably be his solo swing. You know, the first time he swings, the POV one.
Oh, right, yeah. I think mine is the end, actually. Those last few shots where it starts, like, really close on his eye, and then it comes out, and then he, like, pulls himself back and then fires himself through the crane.
Slingshot through the crane, yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, and then swings through the dark alleyways, and then, like, super slow-mo into firing the web shooters right at the end. It's just, like, just a really cool moment with a ridiculously big moon.
Yeah.
In the background, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was my
pretty
favourite
cool.
sequence.
Yeah.
Right at the end, when the film ended.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a cool shot. Yeah, I'd definitely say that. I would say things that I dislike about the movie. I like, you know, the chemistry between you know, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, but sometimes I don't know, it seems a bit too improvised.
Improvised.
It seems a bit too improvised, you know. I don't like it. Like, they're not just talking direct,
right.
They're just like mumbling and
Okay. I quite liked those elements, actually.
Did you?
I thought that was some of the strongest elements of the film was between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. I thought their chemistry was really good.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay.
Ooh. Differing scores this week. Anyway,
scores, yeah.
Right, my score then for directing. I mean, Mark Webb I think he does a good job, you know. I personally think Raimi and John Watts do better jobs in their versions of the character. I don't think it's a huge gap, but I think if he leaned into a bit more of the POV stuff, I know you don't want to overdo it with that type of shot because it can be disorientating maybe, but it works so well in those little moments. I just kind of wanted more of that. I just think maybe the lizard was bad. You know, it was just not great at all. So I'll go like a 7.1, I think, for directing.
Okay, cool.
How about you, sir?
I think I'll just go straight 7.
I said differing scores, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Right, screenplay then. What do you think about the script in this film?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. You know, I think they tried to do a different thing with the origin. Now, a lot of people say, it's the same. It's not really the same. Like, I watched all these criticism of people who clearly didn't watch the film. Who were like, oh, it's another origin story. It's the same as the first one. And it's not really. And I like how they kind of lean very heavily onto his parents. Because this is never really talked about in either the Sam Raimi ones or the Tom Holland ones. Like, it's his aunt and uncle that are raising him. What the hell happened to his parents? And, I kind of like that route. It's him trying to, like, find his father and to find out what he was up to and, you know, why he left, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like an interesting mystery, like, starting with that. You know, the parents just left him with Uncle Ben and Aunt May. As you said, we haven't really seen that before, but it didn't leave me terribly excited, and it doesn't particularly go anywhere. They certainly lean into that a bit more in the sequel, but I think it would have been good if they did maybe leaned into it a bit more in this film.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree, because I suppose it makes the plot, one, it's sequel baiting, and it does make the plot sort of seem like a side quest. Like, he's trying to find out why, you know, his father left, and instead he helps his father's lab partner discover, like, how to do cross species and shit. I do like how it just basically it moves the plot forward. You know, he finds that thing in his dad's office, you know, that has like his notes and stuff. Finds Kurt Connors through that, and you know, because of that, goes to Oscorp. He gets bitten by the spiders in Oscorp, and he, you know, with those notes makes you know, cross species possible with like lizard DNA and shit. Yeah, I like how his parents really. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a motivating
progress
factor.
the plot along.
Yeah,
but...
it progress. It gets the ball rolling basically. And I thought that's an interesting thing to get into, like Spider-Man's origin and stuff. His parents, they're just not. I guess it
would have been great if they had like more like flashback scenes with his dad and him as a younger boy.
Yeah,
that would have been it would have been more interesting maybe. But there are some not great bits with the scripts, like the Gandolini, what's it called? Basically the device is blatant foreshadowing.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Where the device like creates a cloud of this antigen that can be dispersed over a street or an entire city.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this could come in handy later for the bad guy.
Yeah.
Especially the lizard.
Yeah, because I kind of forgot the explanation for it. I remember he used it and then they explained it. And one of the things I'm thinking is, that's obvious what's going to happen. But two, that sounds like a terrible idea. Like, why didn't they destroy this thing? Yeah, you could have the cure for, like, cancer, but you don't know what it's going to do to people who don't have cancer. Why would you just blurt out something you don't know onto, like, everybody? Even if it is a cure for something, why the fuck would you do that? Like, it just sounds insane.
It just feels like a very easy storytelling device.
Yeah.
To solve everything at the end.
And he goes, your dad thought it was a bad idea. You could put like a poison or well, you know, this is obvious foreshadowing. And it's like, duh, it is a bad idea. Destroy it. Why is it there?
I mean, there are some moments in the script where I quite liked, actually.
Yeah.
Just in a little moment where the script gives Spider-Man a reason to wear the mask. After he escapes a load of goons and falls into the boxing ring, one of them shouts, "Oh, I know what you look like. I've seen your face." And it just that little simple thing that other Spider-Man movies and superhero movies kind of overlook, like the reason to cover their face.
Yeah. But I also find it kind of interesting that he doesn't really kind of go into the role of, I suppose properly trying to be a superhero until like the lizard shows up. So he has been saving people, but it's always to try and find the guy that killed Uncle Ben. Because every like purse snatching or whatever he stops, he looks at the guy's wrist, wants to find that guy. So it is kind of a vendetta, but he kind of leaves that to the side when he's actually helping people. A story bit that I quite liked is where Emma Stone is trying to keep, the device away from the lizard. I like that. Where she she basically hides in like a fucking grate or something.
Oh, right.
And she's holding it, and she's got like a flamethrower thing or whatever, like a gas canister with a flame.
Yeah.
And he's like just sniffing her out, and he breaks through, and you're like, oh yeah, she's screwed. and she even like fires off some flame at him, and he just like takes it and just takes the canister and just walks away. I thought that was a funny moment. I'm like, he's like, whatever.
There's some cool lines actually from Emma Stone. Actually, I know your name. I just want to know if you know your name.
Oh yeah. After he basically got his ass whooped. Yeah,
that was funny.
Might have a concussion.
And the bit where he's like, "Watch out! I'm swinging here. I'm swinging here."
Yeah, that was funny.
Which is a direct reference and riffing on Midnight Cowboy.
That's the one. Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman's line, saying, "I'm walking here. I'm walking here."
Yeah. It's now like completely synonymous with New Yorkers. If anybody goes to New York, you got to say that line. Yeah. I bet they're really sick of it.
Yeah, they probably are. Yeah, because that was actually because a taxi just ignored like the film set signs and just carried on.
Yeah, I heard
it was
that.
Completely improvised. Because he's such a method actor.
Yeah.
Also, like Dr. Connors does seem to go crazy quite quickly after he takes the lizard formula.
Yeah, pretty much.
For one, deciding to build a lab in the sewers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works.
There we
go.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty over the night, super villain territory, yeah.
And the fact that he hears voices in one scene just very much feels like they're copying like Willem Dafoe in, as Green Goblin.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of don't
sure about that.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with that. They shouldn't have sort of done like, it does just remind me of Green Goblin and stuff like that.
Have you got a favourite line then?
You go with yours first, and then I'll try and remember one.
All right. Yeah. Mine is like one of the great quippy bits when you kind of see him in the full suit for the first time, and he finds one of a robber, and he's like, and he gets a knife out.
Oh yeah,
and he says, "He's got a knife, a real knife. My weakness is small knives, anything but knives."
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
I love that line from Spider-Man. It's just brilliant from Garfield in the suit there. I definitely wanted a lot more of that type of stuff. That's definitely my favorite scene.
Yeah.
When he just like ends up webbing him up on the wall. That's great.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, no, my favorite line was when he goes to Captain Stacy and he's found out that Kurt Connors is the lizard, and he's trying to explain it to him. He's like,
oh, yeah.
No, he isn't dressed like a lizard. He actually turned himself into a lizard. And he's like, do I look like the mayor of Tokyo? I quite like that.
I'm just trying to think. The mayor of Tokyo. That's a bit hard. Yeah. Like, have you met the mayor of Tokyo?
Well, Godzilla conventions.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ, Martin. Fucking hell. God.
I only saw Godzilla vs. Kong the other day.
God, you're slow. How could you not put two and two together? Jesus.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be.
But yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong is better than this film. Anyway, right, score for screenplay. For me is, I'm going to go 6.6, I think,
all right,
for screenplay.
I'll go 6.8.5. 6.85.
8.5?
6.85.
What? No, 6.8.
All right.
Right. Acting then. What you got for me for acting? No, there are some really interesting scenes with the acting. I mean, the scenes after Uncle Ben dies, Andrew Garfield is actually quite remarkable in those opening emotions he does. I remember, like, in the press for Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge, he was doing interviews for that, and obviously that starred Andrew Garfield as well, and he was kind of saying that he was describing Andrew Garfield's acting as that you could see into the guy's soul, I would agree with that. You can really see into the guy's soul with every emotion he gives. It's quite amazing what he does in those scenes after Uncle Ben dies. I mean, there's the moments after the funeral, actually, when Gwen goes to visit Peter in the rain, and they're both really great, especially Emma Stone, actually, because before she starts speaking, you can't tell. I mean, you can tell she's upset, but is she going to be really mad at him for not going to the funeral? or is it something else in that little moment? And you can't really tell where the scene is going to go. You know, do you know the moment? I mean, like near the end,
I know.
Where she walks to his apartment. I thought she was really great in that. You know, just not really knowing how she's going to react to Peter. I quite like the way their relationship ended at the end, where they kind of get back together at the end.
Yeah.
I can't remember the quippy bit, but it was nicely done.
Well, the teacher was saying like, you know, you're late, and she was like, oh, I won't happen again, and she said, don't make promises you can't keep, and he said, but they're the best kind. Yeah, to Emerson.
Yeah.
Because he had promised
Yeah, I
to
like that.
Dad that he wouldn't see her again.
I did like that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But yeah, that scene in the rain, I thought those two were great. And so you didn't like the chemistry between these two then?
No, I didn't mind the chemistry, and like when it's more serious stuff, like, you know, Dad dying or them talking about like the plot, I think it's fine. You know, it is adorable.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's just bits where like they're not really saying things to each other. They're just like, I don't know, like Parker is just mumbling or just saying nonsense or something.
Oh, right.
So yeah. But I guess that's meant to maybe convey that he's quite nervous around her and like a bit shy.
Yeah, I like those bits. I thought it was quite charming. You know, as we said, like I think Andrew Garfield is a good Peter Parker, and it's a shame he didn't really get a third film. I saw quite a funny meme the other day where Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland's characters were like joking the fact that they had a trilogy and Andrew Garfield didn't, and you know, you see a picture of him crying. It's quite, it's very mean but funny.
Yeah,
but
I do hope he hope he shows up for this new one. This new Spider-Man 3.
No Way Home. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he's come out in the press to say he hasn't had the call.
Yeah, I've heard that. But then
Whether
again,
we believe him
if
or
he
not,
had the
I don't
call,
know.
would he say he had the call?
Yeah, exactly. I like the chemistry between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. I think it works really well. I do think it works better at times compared to Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire at times.
Yeah.
Which feels very awkward in those films.
Yeah.
I know it's probably supposed to feel like that, but it just felt more natural in these films. It's just a shame the script isn't as good as it could have been, certainly with the villain. But yeah, the acting I would say is really, really solid.
Yeah.
You know, Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben is great, and Sally Field as Aunt May. Both they work really well together, I think.
Yeah,
they're brilliant. So I would go for like a 7.5 for acting.
Yeah, that sounds fair. So I'm going to go 7.5 as well. And also I'm going to change my score for the script to a 7.
What?
I'm going to change it to a 7.
You can't do
I
that.
can do that. I have the power. 7.1956334.
So what's your acting score again?
7.5. I'll match you. Yeah.
So your favourite performance is Andrew Garfield?
Yeah, it's Andrew
That's
Garfield.
same with me, yeah. Cool. Right, let's add up the scores then for The Amazing Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man gets 42.7. Right, my pick then is the wonderfully brilliant The Favourite from 2018 that won Olivia Colman her Oscar, but Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone are equally as good in this film as like a trio from Yorgos Lanthimos, the director. Basically, the plot of this film is about Queen Anne in the 18th century, where two of her closest advisors basically have to decide whether they want to call her a badger or not. Which is basically what this film is about.
Yeah.
I would say.
All right. All right.
Wouldn't you think?
That's pretty facetious, but yeah, sure. Why not?
But no, yeah, Queen Anne is Queen of England in the 18th century, and her closest advisor is Lady Sarah, played by Rachel Weisz, and her cousin, Lady Sarah's cousin, played by Emma Stone, called Abigail, brought news about something about her family.
Well, basically, her family have ran out of money and lands and titles and shit, so they're basically poor. She needs a job.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so she inadvertently helps Queen Anne with her gout, and Abigail becomes close to Queen Anne as well. And then you basically have this great rivalry between Lady Sarah and Abigail for the affections of Queen Anne. And that's basically what the film is about, is just who's going to win this battle to get the Queen's affections. And I really like this film. I think it's hilarious, brilliantly acted, brilliantly directed as well. What did you make of this film, Boaz?
Yeah, no, it was brilliant. Yeah, I forgot that I watched the trailer for this film. So when you said The Favourite, I kind of thought it was, and this is going to sound weird, I thought it was a horse racing film. You know, with a name like The Favourite, it would be a perfect name for a horse racing film, right? But no, but it's much better than that. And it's really good. I quite liked it. I liked it very much.
All right, directing then. It kind of has this this quirky formality to it, which I quite liked, especially in like the panning shots. They move in this very regimental way.
Yeah.
You know, they start quickly and finish quite sharply from one half of the scene to the next, and there's a lot of like low angle shots on the characters that help with the comedy of the film, make them feel more like isolated in these grand sets.
Yeah,
you know?
A lot of close-ups, a lot of pretty tight close-ups as well. I do like the pans and everything like that. There's one directing choice, camera angle choice, that one I have never seen before in a film.
Oh, right.
And at first I kind of liked it, but then I grew to sort of not like it very much.
Okay.
And that is the use of, I'm not sure what the hell it is. Is it a fisheye lens? Yeah. I have never seen anybody use a fisheye lens much in a movie. I've just never seen it. When it first happened, and it's like Abigail's carriage is coming, and it does a low shot, and you think, oh, a low shot of the carriage going by, whatever. I've seen those, and it tracks the carriage. But it's a fisheye lens. I'm like, what the hell? And it kept doing fisheye lenses.
Because you would normally use like a fisheye lens in photography, you know, if you've got this massive landscape, because it's the lens is very spherical. So if you've got a huge landscape in front of you, you can capture so much, you know, and you don't see the curvature of the lens. But in this film, you certainly can see the curvature.
Yeah. No,
I find it really interesting because it's basically, it's capturing like the amazing architecture in this film, and you basically get this feeling that the shots must fill as much as possible into shots.
Exactly. I want to get the ceiling, I want to get the floor, I want to get the walls, I want to get everywhere. I want to get behind them, everything.
Yeah. But I think it kind of like encapsulates this feeling of certainly the male characters and Queen Anne to a certain extent of this grandeur and ridiculousness of this whole situation of, you know, what the male characters are wearing. They've got these ridiculous wigs covered in makeup, you know, and it's kind of reflected in that in a way, which I really love.
So I think like the first...
But you didn't like it so much.
No, so I think it was overused. So the first like two times, I thought it was like, oh, it's a great novelty. I don't know. It was used, I think, too much for my taste. Not that it like sullied the film from me, but I was like, oh, not again, fuck's sake. There are a lot of great shots besides the fisheye lens, but it's definitely something I've never seen used. I don't think at all in a movie. Yeah.
Before, no, I've not either. Yeah.
Which is crazy. We've watched so many bloody movies. I've never seen anybody utilize it, and never this much as well.
No.
So it was quite odd. You know, props for originality in film shots, though. You know,
I got used to it, if I'm honest. I think the more you watch this film, the more you get used to it. I think, but certainly in the first viewing, yes, the first few is a bit jarring, but the more it goes on, I got used to it, and it kind of fits with the feeling of the film.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
I really like the duck race scene.
Yeah, that was funny.
All done in like slow motion. That was quite funny. And you get, as I said, you get this real feeling of the male characters of these ridiculous wigs and makeup for the first time, you know, of these extravagant royals. And then the female characters, it's just like the opposite. They don't have the ridiculous costumes. They're not loaded with makeup, which is really interesting and unique. I've not really seen that before in a like a period costume drama. I do love a costume drama, me. But it's also a shame we didn't get to see the lobster race later on in the film.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah, no, there was some great shots here. So the scenes where basically Queen Anne is watching something amazing. So like, you know, when they decide to dance, and she, I suppose gout is so bad she can't walk, so she's in a wheelchair, which I didn't even know they existed at that time. You learn something, you know, it's pretty cool. and she's watching like her favorite Rachel Weisz, Lady Marlborough, Sarah Marlborough, dance and stuff with this guy. And holy shit, they're dancing. They are. She is dropping it like it's hot. It's like, whoa! I didn't know they danced like that. That was amazing. And
it's
everybody's
strange.
Everybody's having a good. Yeah, Jesus Christ! I thought this was turned into a rap video or something. Like, whoa! She's really shaking it. You're like, good God.
Well, it's not hip hop.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it was amazing. I need to rewatch that.
Very odd. Very odd scene.
It was a very odd scene. But I love the constant back and forth from that to Queen Anne's face of like that and Queen Anne's face as you can just see it like drain out of her of this is entertaining too. Yeah, this is starting to get on my nerves. So like, no, this is really pissing me off. So you know where it's going. And she's like, stop. No, take me back, I quite like that. And they do that again with where she has a more crazier breakdown when she's with Abigail and they're playing music outside. And she really goes off the deep end there.
Yeah, Olivia Colman's brilliant.
Yeah, that was amazing. I love how she's just pacing up and the camera's following her and she's fucking losing her shit,
And of course I had to pick another film where the crime of food abuse occurs.
Oh yeah.
Where a naked man in a pink wig gets lobbed at with grapefruit.
Exactly.
Just a waste of fruit.
At least he's covering his junk, so the fruit hits everything but the penis. Whereas in Call Me By Your Name, it was just the penis. So yeah, it's a change of pace. I'm going off topic here, but another kind of fruit thing. I think it's probably one of my favourite lines. So no, I'm just saying it's one of my favourite lines. So I might incorporate in there. But when she's basically won. Yeah, and she's like,
oh, right,
and she's like, so you think you've won? It's
Abigail.
like, Abigail, and Sarah's like, what? You think you've won? It's like, well, last I've seen, I'm a lady, and there's a carriage being summoned for you. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a maid coming to give me something called a pineapple. I just love that kind of like.
That was funny.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Have you got a favourite shot then?
There was a really weird transition at the end. Man, I've never seen a transition like that where she's basically treating her leg and you can see that she's not enjoying that as like the price for her position.
Yeah, that's my favourite shot.
I thought that was a really good shot. It's in a space with like, the look of the Queen. It's like back and forth to the Queen. It's like, you can tell it's almost like punishing her, She doesn't really like her now.
There's no love there.
There's no love. She doesn't really like her now. She's basically gotten rid of the woman she did like. For this bloody, woman who's just like using her. She's been using her.
Yeah, it's a great like dissolving transition.
Yeah, to like rabbits. That was weird.
Yeah. With like Queen Anne and Abigail in the same shot dissolving with rabbits at the end.
I quite like that. I think it was a good shot to end on, and it was it's so strange because it's it's several shots really intercut between each other. It's a shot that I think gives closure to the film. You're like, Abigail really hasn't won. The Queen is obviously not happy with her whatsoever.
She has won, but there's no love there.
No.
There's no connection anymore. Abigail gets everything that she wanted, apart from the affection of Queen Anne.
Yeah.
There's no connection like Queen Anne would have had with Lady Sarah, but Abigail can manipulate Queen Anne to keep Abigail by her side, if you know what I mean.
I don't know for how much longer, though, because I think, she obviously knows that.
And for me, I guess the rabbits kind of represent all her lost children, because she had, 17 miscarriages.
Yeah.
Which is just, oh my God, that's awful.
Yeah.
And that's real. That's not made up.
Yeah, no, that's pretty nuts.
Right, what score are you going with for directing, Boaz?
My dislike of the fisheye lenses notwithstanding, I do love... many of the tracking shots I do love. Oh, shit. Actually, I'm going to mention this other shot that I thought was amazing.
Okay.
Basically when they go hunting or, they shoot birds.
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's basically like ski. Yeah. They do that now with...
clay pigeon shooting.
Clay pigeons, yeah. But actual...
Use real pigeons.
Using real pigeons, yeah. That was crazy. And I love those scenes because I love how it's the progression of her and Rachel Weisz's rivalry. And it's like, at first, Rachel Weisz, she can shoot. Emma Stone has no bloody idea how to shoot. So it's like, she's not a threat to me, yeah? To the second time, she makes a kind of veiled threat to Rachel Weisz, and she picks up a pistol and like shoots at her, and I love that.
Yeah,
how
empty bullet.
It was empty. Yeah. And she's and just like the tongue and chinkness of if you just put the powder, it makes a loud noise, but the bullet doesn't go off. Isn't that amazing? Although sometimes you can make mistakes.
And then the bit where like Abigail like shoots a pigeon really early, and the blood splatters on Lady Sarah's face.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that is probably one of my favorite shots. That was a really cool shot. I love how the balance of power has changed. She's now the favorite. And it's just
it's definitely a turning point.
It's a great representation of that, of like, she's now a better shot than Rachel. Bang! Blew the damn pigeon, and blood is all over her. Yeah. It's like, you're losing. I like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
So what's your score for directing Mr. Encyclopedia Man?
Maybe like a 7.6? 7.7. Harsh.
Well, I really like the directing in this. I think I really do like it. This very regimental, almost like royal style kind of thing with the panning and the way things are framed. And I do like the fisheye stuff. I do like it. Yeah, I'm going to go like 8.3, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, screenplay then. I think the screenplay is really clever. I do like the screenplay a lot because it's very like character driven, and I love like how the switch between Queen Anne's affections goes from Lady Sarah to Abigail in a very like natural, organic way, and it doesn't feel sudden at all. Like Abigail at the start is basically an embarrassment with like mud on her face. She just, she even just pretends to be like a monster for the children. And as I said, like the turning point in the film is, Abigail's character, when she shoots the pigeon, like blood just splatters on Lady Sarah's face, and she becomes the embarrassment. Then Abigail gains more and more confidence with Anne and Marsham, who ends up being her husband, that helps her with her relationship with Anne. And you feel like the switch is complete when Sarah finds Anne and Abigail in bed together, and Rachel Weisz's reaction is amazing. The look of disillusionment, not really knowing what to do, and just like walking away in amazement. Just like her walking away like that is amazing from her. Apart from lobbing books at Abigail, that was quite funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, the second half of the film, Lady Sarah fights back with like the mud bath scene is great, and Sherry. But then she ends up being injured in a riding accident, and she's out of the picture for a bit.
Well, she wasn't just injured. It's like
she was kidnapped, basically.
Well, Emma Stone like put something into her tea.
Yeah,
and so she basically just fell off her horse and was dragged because it knocked her out, and she was just dragged fucking miles, and then basically kidnapped by a brothel who really wanted to like put her to work and stuff.
But the fact that Sarah's presence isn't around anymore unsettles Abigail a bit, because she doesn't know what Sarah's next move is going to be, and it very much unsettles her, which I find interesting. But I just feel in that scene the script does lose some of its intrigue and momentum when Sarah's out of the picture, when the three of them aren't interacting. Yeah. I think you do lose something there.
Yeah.
Not by much, but a little bit, I think. But then when Sarah does come back, Sarah resorts to truth and honesty towards Anne, but it doesn't work. And Abigail continues to manipulate Anne for her affections and shut Sarah out. And I think they eventually get arrested.
Even though, like, Sarah has been banished from court and what have you, and Anne is securely Abigail is securely in charge. Like, Anne still misses her. Like, she makes it very clear she does still miss her. She's trying to hide it, but she does miss her.
Because I think there is real love there between the two, you know.
And basically she's got to, she's got to resort to, number one, like, making up a rumor that she said she was going through the accounts and she's been skimming money off. She's like, she wouldn't do that. It's like, maybe that's maybe I made a mistake. I don't know.
That's the manipulation side. But eventually their relationship, Abigail and Anne becomes quite cold, and there's no love there at all between Anne. But there is between Anne and Sarah. Yeah. You realise that at the end when she's reading the letter, just before she burns it, she realises that there is real love between Anne and Sarah, and like she just doesn't know whether she can replicate that and give that to Anne.
Basically, when she's defeated Sarah, I just love the transition of like everything she's done, like being caring, flirting with basically Anne, and flirting with the guy that would be her husband. She flirts a hell of a lot with him. Basically, just being nice to everybody, you know, even the guy that wants to be like the prime minister, and he's having a huge falling out with, you know, with Sarah about the war and stuff. But how she cozies up to every one of them, and then as soon as she's got complete power, she's a bitch. She's just like not nice at all. It's like, you know, the things, she doesn't give a shit about Anne. She cares about partying. She's flirting with other men, like right in front of her husband's face. Like, she was only nice to him so they would get married, you know, so she would be a lady.
Great in that,
but I love that. It's like, nope, the facade comes off. She's a horrible person. And then she even tries to crush one of the goddamn rabbits. Like,
I know, yeah.
Like, you know, that whole reason why she was liked by Anne in the first place is she actually cared about the rabbit. Oh, what are those, rabbits? And she was playing with the rabbits with her and shit. But, you know, it's all a facade. Yeah. She has not got a nice bone in her body. She was just very good at pretending to be nice. Especially
when she learns that she lost so many children and she decides to put her foot on the rabbit. I was like, oh, bitch.
But it's I think it's a character point of just like, no, she is like the master manipulator. You thought there was a shred of decency in her? No, absolutely not. She's, you know.
But I love like the ridiculousness of this like royal culture in this film. Yeah. You know, there's a great example when like all these politicians are around Queen Anne's bed, and she's hardly conscious, and they're discussing like battle plans in France, and she's got the map like you know right across her bed or across her lap. You know, it's quite funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
And there's so many great lines in this as well. One near the start where they say, "We are at war. We won. It's not over. We must continue." Oh, I did not know that.
That's funny.
I had a dream this very small Frenchman covered in blood was carrying Marlborough's head around, feeding me brie. Feeding it brie. From Lady Sarah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? Abigail says. As long as you are aware I have a gun. Abigail says, you want something to fuck me? Then Mr. Harley says, I will leave that to my friend Masham, who is completely struck by you.
That's a good line. Another line I thought was kind of funny was when you know, the guy that she's trying to like seduce to be her husband, Masham. Yeah, Masham. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Anyway, and he's like in a powdered wig and everything like that, and goes to her bedchambers and is like, she says something like, Have you come
to seduce me or rape me?
That's the one. Have you come to seduce me or rape me? And he's like, Madam, I am a gentleman. And she's like, oh, rape me then. You know, you've come to rape me.
It's very dark. It's very dark.
Yeah. I thought, what was it? When she's kind of explaining, because you said about this, where Sarah's basically gone missing because, you know, she poisoned her and then she's been taken off by a horse somewhere. And she is assuming she is going to come back at some point, and she's like consolidating her power. And then she's with her new husband. I thought that scene was hilarious, where she's just like he's horny, and she's just, you know, like whips it out. It's very professional, whips it out, and just like
gives him a hand job.
But she carries on like looking straight at camera and like beyond camera, but like camera's in her face. And she's like beyond, like she's thinking, you know, and how she just goes into this like Shakespearean monologue of, you know, I wish she was here. I don't know what she's planning, but and I just thought it was hilarious how she's just doing this well.
You don't need to do the action at the same time. Yes, Boaz is basically explaining all this while giving someone else a hand job right now. I don't know who's beside the camera.
Probably the Invisible Man. He's having a very good time. But yeah.
You don't need to do the action. I saw the film.
I don't not have to do the action. No.
Okay. Oh, God. That was funny. Yeah, there's loads of great lines. Lady Sarah says to the Queen, you will dismiss her. And Anne says, I don't want to. I like it when she puts her tongue inside me.
Yeah. She's not talking about the mouth.
No. And Sarah says to Godolphin, I feel a surge of desire to see your nose broken. But my favourite line always makes me laugh out loud. It's not sexual or anything like that, but it's just so ridiculous and hilarious where like Lady Sarah's like going through all the books and the bills of all the servants, I think. And she says, Mrs. Meg, your cream bill is outrageous. Are you bathing in it to help your hemorrhoids? I just love the absurdity of that. It's brilliant. Have you got a favourite line then?
Maybe the pineapple one. I think I explained a little earlier when we were talking about fruit. Yeah, I just quite like that. I just thought the sort of the rubbing your face in it sort of speech of it just, I don't know, it just ended so ridiculously. It's like, you know, you think you've won? Well,
I think ridiculous is the perfect word to describe this film. It's ridiculous.
But I just love that. So
in a good way.
I think I'll repeat it. It's just like, yeah, she's like, so you think you've won? And she's like, you know, well, haven't I? It's like, you know, I'm now a lady and there's a carriage waiting for you. So if you'll excuse me, my maid is coming to give me something called a pineapple. It's just like, you know, yes, I've got a pineapple. It's just weird.
So what's your score for screenplay?
Yeah, no, the screenplay is really good. 8.4.
Yeah, I really like the screenplay. I think it's really well done. Just the way, like, the first half of the film, you see, you know, the transition of affections for Anne between, like, Lady Sarah and Abigail, like, switch. And then the second half, I guess it does lose a little bit of momentum, but I don't think it's a huge issue. But then you have, like, the aspect of Lady Sarah and Abigail on like the same level, the same playing field, if you will, for Queen Anne's affections. But you know, Abigail continues with the same tactics with manipulation and just hearing what Anne wants to hear, whereas you know, and she says, "No, you don't look like a badger," whereas Lady Sarah says, "Yep, you do look like a badger because it's the truth. You look terrible, you know." But there's love there. She's saying it in a loving way because she doesn't want to lie to her, you know, which doesn't work, and you end up. It's very sad as well at the end, really, when you think about it. It's a very tragic end. So I like that the dynamics. So I really like it. So I'll go like 8.6. I think. Cool. Right. Acting then. I love the moment where Lady Sarah tells Queen Anne that she looks like a badger, basically the integral part of the film. And then as she goes out the door, she asks the doorman, "Did you just look at me? Did you? Look at me. Look at me." The doorman then looks at her and she says, "How dare you? Close your eyes." You know. And Coleman is basically... is so brilliant and basically winning an Oscar for playing a spoiled child and looking miserable and ill in 100 different ways. It's just, that's how you win an Oscar, dude.
That was brilliant. I like the bit where she just collapsed. You remember, like, in front of all the ministers.
Oh, yeah.
That was funny.
She's his dressing parlour, isn't she? And then she looks at Lady Sarah just before she does the pratfall. And she just like, right, I'm going to fall over now. And
that was brilliant. The second time when she just loses her shit, that was really good. You know, where everybody's, they were playing music in the grounds. It's like, stop it! Stop it!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Where Emma Stone breaks her own fucking nose. That was cool. You know, like after the book throwing incident, she takes one of the books and just breaks her own nose. And comes crying to Anne. It's like, oh. And she buys that. It's like, oh.
But I do like... We've talked a bit about the Emma Stone scene where she realises Sarah and Anne's relationship is quite special and there's a lot of love there. And
it's basically from the bathhouse onwards. I thought that was nice. She went with them to the bathhouse where they were doing that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something she can't really replicate because, you know, where she... I like that because she knows she's trying to steal her away from her. And she gets in the bath and then does a moustache over herself. And, you know, Anne does that. You know, we're just having fun, you know.
But I do love the last scenes with Olivia Colman where, like, Anne is losing the capacity to move some of her body. Like, she can't move her arm properly. And, you know, her movement in that is quite convincing. I mean, she must have had, like, an injection in her face.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like she had a stroke or something.
It does look like... I was going to say that. It does look like she had a stroke. The last few scenes, it's like her eye is weighed down, her face is like that, yeah.
But I mean, if she doesn't have an injection or something like that, then that is incredible acting. If she's had nothing there, done there, you know, insane. Yeah. But I mean, obviously when she just like flops her arm, you know, that's kind of cool. I would say that takes a moderate amount of skill to be able to do that convincingly, to, you know, with her other leg as well, you know, with all that movement. I really like that, you know, very convincing. It didn't look fake at all.
Yeah, I've got to check if that her face acting for when she's basically dying is real, if she did do that. Because that is genuinely quite amazing. It does look like she had a stroke, you know. Oh, yeah, no, that was it. I was going to say on lines. Fuck. I'm going to say it anyway because I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Where basically Sarah is told that maybe she can actually mend this rift if she puts out an apology letter to Anne. And, you know, Anne is kind of waiting for an apology letter. And I love her attempts at it. It just... you know, she screws that up. I dreamt of stabbing you in the eye. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Well, that was...
that's like one of the titles of one of the chapters,
yeah.
I dreamt of stabbing you.
I just thought that was funny. That was really, really funny.
But yeah, we haven't talked much about Rachel Weisz, but I think she's really great in this as well. Just this very, like, dominating presence to everyone else, especially to, like, the male characters as well.
You can feel everybody feels inferior to her, you know. It's just like, she is she's quite imposing.
And Nicholas Hoult as Harley, he's brilliant. As the leader of the opposition, just like he's playing it very flamboyantly, and you know, and the wig and the makeup just really helps his performance completely. It's really quite funny from him. Very pompous.
Yes. I like when he gets annoyed as well.
Brilliant. He's great.
You know, he gets really huffy. It was like a bitch, you know.
I love the way, like, all the characters have to walk backwards out of the room when Queen Anne's there. You know, that's quite funny. They do that brilliantly. So, who's your favourite performance?
I think I might have to give it to the Queen,
Olivia Colman.
I think I'll give it to her, actually.
Yeah, I think I'll give it to Olivia Colman as well. Poor Emma Stone.
I think she just does.
We haven't picked her in our films, but oh well.
Oh yeah, I've noticed. Shit, we haven't picked Emma Stone in either film. Oh no! I hope Emma Stone isn't going to watch this.
But yeah, I would say she's bloody brilliant in this as well, to be fair.
Yeah, no, Emma Stone is amazing, and Rachel Weisz is amazing, and I think that's great. I think it's good that the Queen is... I mean, she's meant to be the Queen, you know, but she's played really well. Like, you know, she throws tantrums, but she's incredibly vulnerable as well. She can be a maniac angry, but she is incredibly vulnerable. She does that amazingly. She gets, you know, she's so loving, you know, she portrays that really well. And then she, I don't know, she also acts quite petty, but then she's quite, I don't know, she just does this whole range as a character, and she's just really nice to watch, you know, in this film.
Yeah, you mentioned that the vulnerability there, that scene when she's taking out the rabbits with Emma Stone's character Abigail, and she says that she lost 17 children. She's really quite brilliant at showing that vulnerability there. It's really well done. I mean, yeah, my favourite is Olivia Colman as well, but very closely followed by equally Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz. It's very tight between all three of them, really, but I think Olivia Colman just edges it for me.
I agree. Yeah.
So score then, Boaz, what are you going for acting?
Yeah, I would go pretty high. 8.7.
Yeah, I think the level of acting from all the cast is pretty extraordinary, especially from those three. I mean, do you want an Oscar for it? So, yeah, they're all really good. I could happily watch this quite a few times. It's got good rewatch value just for the acting alone.
I agree,
I would say. So I'd go like 8.8, I think. Right, let's add up the scores then for the favourite. I have a feeling which film is going
Spider-Man, yay! You can do it, Peter.
The favourite gets 50.5, which blows the little Spider-Man out of the water with 42.7. Oh dear.
This is one fight Spider-Man could not win.
Nope. Definitely not. Right, next week, as A Quiet Place Part 2 comes out in UK cinemas. I think this month we're kind of going to be doing a lot of like UK releases because, you know, as cinemas are opening a lot of these films got delayed, so one of those films was A Quiet Place Part 2. So for this one, we're going to concentrate on post-apocalyptic films.
Wow. That is going to be really hard to pick a favourite. There's so many fucking amazing post-apocalyptic films.
Yeah, so I'm sensing very high scores, and we could definitely get certainly one film I have in my head that could score very, very highly. As ever, Boaz, you've been rather good.
Yeah, you've been all right. You've been
Bye-bye.
okay. So, yeah.
See ya.
Is your film This Is the End, by the way?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.